Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is Ralph, and in today's interview I'm talking to Manuel Goettsching. Manuel is a pioneer of Berlin School electronic music. In 1970, he founded the legendary band Ash Ra Tempel together with Klaus Schulze and Hartmut Enke. In 1974, he recorded his masterpiece, Inventions for electric guitar. In this interview, Manuel is sharing many insights about his music and the electronic music scene in Germany during the 1970s. His music career spans over 46 years and he is still moving forward. So without further ado, we start today's interview. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is Ralph. And I'm here together with Manuel Goettsching. Manuel Goettsching is a pioneer of electronic music. He is actually one of the founding fathers of Berlin School of Electronic Music. In 1970, he founded the band Ash Ra Tempel together with Hartmut Enke and Klaus Schulze, who later left the band to pursue a solo career. Manuel recorded his first solo album in 1974, Inventions for electric guitar. In my personal opinion, this album is a milestone of electronic music. And Manuel, I think we talk about it a little bit later. So, Manuel, thank you very much for doing this interview with me today. I really feel honored that you are joining me.
Thank you.
The first question I would like to ask you, is there any success quote or some kind of saying, mantra or maxim that you live by and that has helped you on your journey as a musician or maybe as a human being in general?
No, there isn't. There's just I was interested in music, and so I continued music. I had many interests when I was a teenager, and it's a different story, but. My interest is always in inventing something, in composing, creating, trying to find new ways or new types of new methods. So that's what interested me, and that's still today like this. So I'm still working in this way that I try to do experiments, and even if it's very small things, it may be a little bit dependent on my father. He was an inventor, he was an engineer, he invented machines, constructions, and so I got used to that technical kind of inventions, and that's what I do with music. Yeah.
Okay, so there is no success quote, you generate all the creativity within yourself. Cool.
I was never interested in being a superstar or being on title pages of papers. Of course, I'm happy when my music, when people like my music. I feel honored. I feel honored when young people like it, when they play it. Like today's many young people are interested in this music, like E2E4 or Inventions for electric guitar. We can speak later about that. Performing this as a composition, and when I can give something to young people, of course I feel honored, and of course I like it, but my main intention is always to create something or to make something interesting, to make something which is different from the rest.
Okay, then I just throw it in there how I started listening to your music. I'm actually a teenager of the 1980s. And in 1982, I was listening to Simple Minds, Duran Duran, and that stuff. I came across the record Inventions for electric guitar. You were smiling from that cover. Kosmische Kuriere. I listened to it at the music store, and it blew my mind. The guitar, the rhythm, I think it was something like a precursor to even a bit techno music, I think. And now I want to ask you, please, Manuel, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, about your musical background in general, and how you got started with guitars and electronic music.
Well, I was I studied, or I was trained in classical guitar when I was young, when I was a child for many years, and I love playing classic guitar. I love playing those kind of exercises which are called etude, for just to learn an instrument. There you can start improvising, because it's just for getting your fingers more flexible and training. And I love those pieces because it gives you can start your own ideas to combine. Later I founded a band in school with my then school friend Hartmut Enke. We founded a band to play some popular music, Beatles, Rolling Stones, Who, Small Faces, 60s music. And he played the bass, I played the guitar, so we were looking for a drummer, and I was a singer at the band. It was very funny. And somehow we decided to go on, because we liked to play music, we liked to work on it, and so we decided to play our own, somehow to create our own music. And so we didn't know very much. We were 14, 15. We didn't know how to make it. So the most simple way was we all liked blues music, and blues is a very simple structure of music. It's a very simple thing with 12 notes, a very simple 5-tone melody, and from this basic, we started to create our music, to compose, or to make some little compositions, and also to work on improvisation. And we liked very much the way the bands like Cream were playing it. They started with a simple blues theme, then they made a 20 minutes improvisation live, and then returned to the theme. So we tried to work in this direction. And we had a very good teacher. We had a very interesting place here in Berlin called the Beach Studio, which was led by a Swiss composer, an avant-garde composer, very intellectual avant-garde music, but a very good guy. And he taught us we went there for 2 years together with bands like Tangerine Dream, and we met Klaus Schulze there. Well, all the Berlin musicians, agitation free, they were in this place. And he taught us, this teacher Kessler, Thomas Kessler was the name of this composer. He still is a famous composer. He taught us about improvisation, that this is not just playing something, but playing together. It's like talking together, reacting on the other musicians. And so we had 2 years of studies in improvisation. And we had some very experimental band in between, without any structures, just making kind of pure improvisation, pure noise, maybe I don't know. And we returned again a little bit to the blues with a steeplechase blues band, which was of course not a real blues band. It was a funny thing. We used some blues parts, but we didn't play actually any blues. And and then in summer '70, Klaus Schulze was leaving Tangerine Dream as a drummer. He had performed with Tangerine Dream on drums, and as we know each other, and we had just got some new equipment, and Klaus was very interested in that because we had big equipment. And so we decided, okay, we rearranged our band, and then we called it Ash Ra Tempel, and then we had Schulze on drums for 1 year, and that's how we started with our first album, Ash Ra Tempel, and with some concerts. This was again complete improvisation without any real composition. It was real improvisation. Our concerts at the time were improvised from beginning to the end. We went on stage. We didn't talk about music. We didn't talk about any musical themes, or we just went on stage and decided in the situation who starts, and soft, slow, fast, loud, whatever, and just played how we feel. And Klaus left after 1 year because he was wanted again to play something different. He wanted to play solo. He wanted to play with some electronic instrument. Was very into electronic music, and it was just the start of the first more affordable synthesizers, smaller synthesizers like the English synthesizer EMS, the small attaché cabinet case. 2 years later was the first Mini Moog, the first Arp Odyssey. So, and there was a huge increase at really I don't know, a rapid development in technology in electronic music, synthesizer, in the beginning synthesizer technology. We made 2 more albums. We made a beautiful second album and a third album second album Schwingung, the third album 7 Up with Timothy Leary in Switzerland, 1972. And then in 73 we had some more concerts, and then we split up, and I split with Hartmut. He didn't want to perform anymore. He didn't want to play professionally. He wanted only to play when he likes to play. He didn't want to be in the business because it got too much. We were really, yes, it was still kind of underground popularity that we had, but we had it all over the world, and we were a legend. And of course there were pressure, more or less, to get more into business of music, and Hartmut didn't like it. He didn't want it, and so he quit. And then I was starting with my solo albums in 73. First, it took some time to develop this, and I was influenced by the minimal music, minimal composers like Terry Riley and Steve Reich. In the beginning, more Terry Riley, because he was just a single musician. He played. He was he still is a fantastic keyboard player and piano player. And he played with little effects like the delay. He played fantastic type of minimal music, repeating but playing it. And this inspired me for this first album, Inventions for electric guitar, because I thought I'm a guitar player, so why shouldn't I try something like this with electric guitar? And it was there were several things coming together. First was I wanted to make all the sounds are made by just one guitar, so every note, every sound is really produced by an electric guitar, no synthesizer, no other instrument. The method of composition is minimalism, so this repetitive repeating of patterns, creating patterns. Patterns are slowly changing in the way the very classic minimal music was written. And the third one was that I really like guitar as an instrument to play. I like the sound, and I thought why guitar is not so popular into the more sophisticated or classic type of music that is always thought of an instrument for rock music. I thought it should be something more, so bring it in another dimension. That electric guitar is, it's a kind of really serious concert instrument. You only have to write the proper music for it.
Yeah,
that's how I mentioned. And then later I went on more with synthesizers, with electronics, and so the story goes on.
But I want to stop again at Inventions for electric guitar. You recorded that album in 1974, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. I was comparing that record with other guitar music earlier in that time. And what you have achieved back then is really innovative. It's really unbelievable. The sound, the rhythm, the power, the beat, even though there were no drums, nothing, just the guitar. You know, I perceived it as a precursor to to late 80s techno music, you see, and house music. And this is just a personal thing. I used to live in Asia. You see, in the early 90s, I got stuck in traffic, in Bangkok traffic. And I was always listening. I brought this tape from Germany, Inventions for electric guitar. And when people were driving with me, I said, this is German culture at its finest. Really. And
thank you very much.
it's so good. And you have done the entire thing by yourself. So did you use special tape echoes, or were you just using tape machines for the delay effects?
I used just one Revox tape machine for the delay. This was a fixed delay, so it was not tape delay. It's a fixed distance between the record head and the playback head. So, and it only depends on the speed of the tape machine. Later, I used a tape machine with variable vario speed to create different times of speed, different echo times. But at this time, I had only one, and the problem was with the delay was something which attracted me in a way, because delay was very common at the time to use it, but it was used only as an effect without thinking about it. And so it was used, of course, with guitars, but also with other instruments. And on record productions, you can hear it. And many musicians used it. Mostly, of course, all these small little tape delays like WEM or some Dynacord or some other companies, tape loops as a delay. But it was always used just as an effect, and my idea was to start to use it in a way of a real composition, that I play two notes and the delay is playing 2-3 other notes, and these together gives a new melody which makes 5 or 4 notes, which I don't play, but in the end it comes out like this. And this was the basic idea, not to use it only as an effect, but to use it really as part of the composition. And that's what I worked over for these, especially for these two pieces, Echo Waves and Pluralis, for 20 minutes, and I played all these pieces, so it's not there's no tape loop, there's no edit. I really recorded it and I played it for 20 minutes, this basic loop or this basic pattern, and then I added the second voice for 20 minutes, the third voice, and the fourth voice. So it's a 4-track recording, but it's not. I didn't use any loops or edits or something. So I really played it for the entire for Echo Wave 17 minutes, for Pluralis 20 minutes. And this was a good training, and of course my classical training in guitar helped a lot to make it. So it was only a technical problem, because it was the first recording I did in my own studio, so I had the tape machines there, but of course there were some crackles and then there was some noise, and so I had to repeat it, and I started again. It took me some 2-3 months to get it all finally together.
Hey, wow.
I worked with some tape effects that I used the double speed of a tape recorder. I played with half speed. I recorded with half speed, played it back with double speed. But this was the only thing I remember, and the rest is all done with especially with the guitar string sound in a way, with volume, very simple effects, a little volume effect.
Yeah, but you were actually the first one who did it, actually on a record, on an album. Nowadays it's quite common. People are using these loop stations, and it's the same concept, but you did it 42 years ago. It's
Well, actually,
amazing, really.
as I said, I played it. I don't use any loop station, and I didn't use it. I don't use it till today. I had some performances of Inventions for electric guitar in '75 and '76 with my then partner in Ash Ra Tempel, Lutz Ulbrich. We played with two guitars. We performed parts of it, of the first track. But the first real original version I only performed in 2010 in Japan with four guitar players, with Elliot Sharp from New York, with Steve Hillage from London, Steve Hillage known from System 7 and before Gong, Steve Hillage Band and so on. And a young Chinese musician, a guitar player, Shu Wang, who had very popular, some popular bands in China. And we really played it in the original version with four guitars in this way I originally composed it. And since 1 year, I have there's a new version I probably will make. I work with some young musicians from Denmark. This is a group of 6 guitar players. They're called Cirklen, and they perform standing around in a circle and thus trying to achieve a kind of surround effect with their instruments. And they really love those pieces. I went to see them in December. We had some rehearsals, and we want to perform Inventions again with maybe with 6 guitars.
Cool.
So
Really?
that's what I said. That's very interesting that this is still fascinating also young people, young guitar players, and yeah, I'm very happy about it. And I think it's basically because it's really some part that it's a composition that really counts in a way today, and it's interesting to play this today. It's not only the effect, and yeah, that's good. There were some problems because some sounds of the guitar are so difficult to achieve. You can only make it in a studio, so it's very difficult to make the sound in a concert live. So you have to think about it, how to arrange it in a different way. For example, sometime I was just blowing into the strings to move the strings to sound. This is very, very soft sound. It's interesting, but of course you can do it not on a big stage with thousands of people. It doesn't work. Yes, so it's useless. So you won't have anything. But if you work in a complete studio atmosphere, of course it's possible to work with that. Yeah.
Hey.
So you can record it. But to play it live is a bit different. It's a different situation.
Well, this is very informative. It's to get some background information on how you recorded this milestone record. But Manuel, I would like to move on to some other questions. I would like to ask you, what are your core values as a musician and artist? And has there been a major incident in your life that made you really aware of your core values and which then subsequently helped you on your artistic journey?
No, I don't have. That's many people ask this, but actually there's not a major incident. It's a very slow development over the years, step by step. As I said, I was just, when I was a child, I was interested in music. My mother liked to listen to operas. So when I was a child, I listened a lot to Verdi, Puccini. Yeah, and then of course I listened to radio. I listened to American. I grew up in West Berlin in the 60s, end of 50s, 60s, and the influence was, of course, by British and American radio, and these were the American Forces radio. So I got to listen at night, soul music, when I was young, I didn't know that this was black music. I just listened to it and I liked it. Yeah. So, and many years later, I found out who was it, the Four Tops and the Temptations, and I didn't know at the time. So, and then, of course, my youth was this type of, yes, Beatles, Rolling Stones, and this was a kind of rebellious time to create. It was an interesting period, end of the 60s, beginning of the 70s, what you call today krautrock period, because there were so many young musicians and artists that wanted to create something new, something special, something, again, some kind of German new culture which was destroyed after the war or before by the Nazis. These people were either killed, emigrated. If they were not gassed, they could emigrate, but there was no real creative culture in Germany in the 50s and the 60s, and then there was this huge influence from America, from England, with yes, rock music and folk music, political music like Bob Dylan, John Baez, and so this was a very, very lively scene in music, also in the other arts, but especially in music, and so very strange types of music came up and emerged in like in Amandyl or Tangerine Dream or the early Kraftwerk when they were still experimenting, not playing pop music, or the Can, group Can that I really liked a lot, and but also folk music like Wittuser Westrup or MTG, Flo de Cologne, Tonsteine Scherben. All this music came up in this period, yeah, of free jazz. And of course that influence, and that was a big power to think about how to go on and to create something on yourself. And that was, yeah, so I had some new ideas, some new experiments, and there was an audience for it. That means we didn't play at home, we didn't play for ourselves. We went out, we played outside, we played many concerts, especially Ash Ra Tempel then in Berlin. In the first half year, we played 3, 4, 5 concerts per week, everywhere, in every place in Berlin. And of course, everybody knew, within 6 months, everybody in Berlin knew Ash Ra Tempel. And it was just spread by mouth. There were no reviews, no papers, not on the radio. Just people knew that there were concerts, they were coming, and that's how it developed. So for me, the live aspect was always very important, very interesting to make it live. And the recording came later. In the beginning, I was not really interested in recording because I didn't understand why should I preserve it. Okay. The live aspect was, it was fun. It was a direct reaction, and so it took some years until I found access, or I began to like some kind of studio productions. But it's still today. It's vice versa. It's the other way around. That I prefer to play concerts from time to time, but I'm not really working very much in the studio to create studio productions, because I think live is something unique, and so I record every concert. Sometimes I have great recordings, especially maybe from this Inventions for electric guitar in Japan, this concert. I have a recording from, I made a nice concert last year in Melbourne in Australia with 2 guys from Australia, and Ariel Pink, a great guy from, he's very popular, Ariel Pink, for young people from Los Angeles. And another musician, Shax Chamberlain, he is his partner. He lives now in Los Angeles, but he is originally from Australia, playing keyboards and synthesizer. And Oren Ambarchi is a fantastic, also a guitar player, but he played drums in the set, and we performed the original version of the second album, Schwingung, and the third album, 7-Up, and this was really a great experience. We will release it next month. I have the recording. I have the final mix now, called the Ash Ra Tempel Experience, and we will have a new concert in Switzerland in summer, in June, on a festival near Bern, which is also a funny coincidence because this is actually the place where I recorded in 1972 the album with Timothy Leary, 7-Up. That's really a fantastic, The history is making circles.
So you actually still consider yourself actually a live musician. That's what you put over studio work. Did I get you right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. And that brings me to the next question. What is your biggest regret or mistake as a musician? And what have you learned from it? If there is any.
I know that I don't have any. I don't. Maybe I'm sure I made a lot of mistakes, but but I don't know. I don't. For me, it's not a mistake. I can also say it all makes sense. So it's just making decisions. Sometimes you have to make this decision or to decide for the other way, and it's you can argue a lot about which would be better or not better, but anyway, it's the way you go, and so I'm happy, and I think I did it in the way I wanted to do it, and that's
Cool.
So
Perfect.
I don't have regrets, so that is.
All right.
I wouldn't know why. Learning is something different. You learn, of course, you learn. If you afterwards you think that something is maybe you should have decided a little bit. You can learn out of it, of course, and then you can go in a different direction.
All right, Manuel. Then I would like to ask you, how do you deal with self-doubt and self-criticism? Many artists and musicians suffer from it every now and then. And if you have occasionally some self-doubt and you're too critical toward yourself, how do you deal with it?
It's difficult to with the words. So I real self-doubt. I wouldn't say I don't. I just don't have it. There are periods where I feel that I'm not very creative, and that maybe I'm not really content with myself, with my creativity, with my activity. That's true, but I think this is normal. This is normal for, you cannot create every day a new masterpiece. This is just not possible. So if you do it, I mean, Albert Einstein had his formula, and he was, the rest for his life, he was still trying to work on a different formula to increase it, to enhance it, and he didn't find it because he was not only happy with what he had done, and then for the rest of his life. So, and that's a bit similar. I mean, I don't want to compare myself with Einstein, but it's a bit similar. So I had some really big success with and I think I'm very proud of making something with Ash Ra Tempel. This very beginnings with Inventions for electric guitar, with New Age of Earth, Blackouts, later with E2 E4, and also today. And so I'm still trying to enhance, to improve, to find some new ways, and but it's not possible every day, so you just have to accept that there are days where you're not very creative and not very much is happening, and then just accept it. That's life, that's normal, and then maybe tomorrow the sun will shine. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And what's the boldest thing you have ever done?
That's maybe that I recorded E2, E4. I switched the record button and I didn't stop.
Okay, cool. So,
Because actually, I just wanted to play a kind of session for myself, so it was not planned as a record, as a new record, as a new release. Okay, I recorded it, but after some minutes, I checked that something was different. What I expected, the rhythm was a bit different than I expected, and I was nearly stopping it, but I didn't. So lucky.
And this record has become very, very popular.
Yeah.
Okay, then which 3 tips would you give to aspiring musicians and or electronic musicians? But from now I would say probably what 3 tips would you give to aspiring guitar players?
Well, I think the basic thing is you really have to, you have to think what you want, what you really want to achieve, what you want to. You have to find a certain affinity or a certain love for music, and you should not. You should not be irritated if it's something different, or if it's not what other people say. If they want to bring you on a different way and saying, "Oh, this is not very good. You can do it better in this way." So just listen to yourself, listen to your heart, listen to your ears. Just play what you like, how it sounds, and that's all right. And that's the best you can do. And don't think about what others say to the other musicians, or not people from the press or people from the record companies. A good example is Inventions for electric guitar. I remember that I had many good friends at the time, guitar players, and they didn't understand what I was doing there. So they said, "Why do you make this? You play such a beautiful guitar, and you make such stupid nonsense there." Stop it and make something real good. You can do it, and why do you make so experimental nonsense? So I was not irritated. So I just said, I want to do it, and I want to do it this way. And I finish it. And Inventions is today, well, yes, it's really an acknowledged composition for guitar music, and not what all the other musicians made. So they were just imitating something which was already existing, or trying to make this. And just follow your ears, follow your heart, and that's okay.
Cool. Then, Manuel, I have 3 questions for you, and I would like you to answer them in a short and concise way. Just tell me what comes to your mind. So, first question, what or whom do you think of when you hear the word success?
Well, success can be very good. It helps. It's financial success. Of course, we all love it. As Frank Zappa said, we are in it for the money. It's great. But success can be dangerous. It can bring you in a different direction. So success is a word which is difficult to make an interpretation. I would say that I feel honored when my music is played today. Still, young people listen to it, and like young musicians like to play it, like this Danish band Cirklen, or others playing electric guitar, or like Ariel Pink and Jack Chamberlain or Lombardi playing beautiful, the old Schwingung and 7-Up music. This was funny, by the way, because I wanted to explain them the scores and the lyrics, and I said, okay, do you need something? I write you down some basic themes and the bass and the guitar and the chords and the lyrics. And Ariel Pink, he was nearly offended. He said, what do you think? Well, I know this music from my very youth. I know every note of it. We are so familiar with it. I didn't have to send them anything. And we just met one day before for 2 hours, 3 hours rehearsal, and they knew everything. That was it. It was the only one rehearsal, 3 hours, and then next day we had this concert. So that's really where I'm proud. Of course, this is, you can say, a kind of success, yes.
Cool.
But success, as I say, can also be dangerous, and it can lead you into different states of mind that are not so really good.
All right, then, Manuel, is there a music album or a movie or even a book that you recommend on a regular basis or might even give away as a present? You can even mention your own albums if you if that's the case.
That's okay. I can always recommend E2, E4. So I was once someone asked me about my favorite music. What would you like to hear when you're on a plane? What would you like to hear when you are on a deserted island? What you like to hear when you are in your bathroom? What you like to hear in the car? What you like to hear when you're in bed? And every answer for me was E2, E4, E2, E4, E2, E4, E2, E4, E2, E4. Because this is not a joke. I found out this is really a music that you can hear in nearly any situation, and it always fits in a way, and that's maybe what makes it. I don't know why it is like that, but it really is like that, and it fits in nearly every situation you can use it. But of course, I have other music, but this is so much. Of course, I love some classic music. I love the minimal music of Steve Reich and Terry Riley. I love soul music. What I said, like the old Temptations or Four Tops. I love. I don't know. I still love music. I like the Rolling Stones. This was funny when we had some interviews in the beginning of Ash Ra Tempel, 1970, 1971. There were journalists coming to interview us, and in the background there was music from the Rolling Stones, and they all thought, oh, they're listening to Pink Floyd and to Genesis, and yes, no, we didn't like that very much. We liked the Rolling Stones. So a bit misunderstanding, yeah. So, there's a lot. It's hard for me just to say one album, or maybe I can take one of my first records that I bought. I didn't buy very much record. I was never a record collector. I was more. I was taping music from the radio sometimes. So I owned just 3 or 4 records. One of them was Jimi Hendrix, Electric Ladyland. One was Fleetwood Mac, and the other one I don't remember. Okay, that's
okay. Jimi Hendrix, Electric Ladyland. And the second choice is E2, E4. All right. Yeah. Then, Manuel, imagine you could travel back in time, Back to the Future style, and you had the chance to meet the 20-year-old Manuel Goettsching. What advice would you give him?
Same as I told you before, to give advice to other musicians. Just stay on your way, keep your way, and continue. And even if it's Even if people tell you this is not professional enough, or this is not commercial enough, or just go on in the way that you. So I wouldn't have to tell myself because I knew that.
Okay, so everything is perfect. Yeah, there was not. So the 21-year-old Manuel Goettsching was already on the right path.
No, it seems so, obviously.
Okay. All right. So,
Yeah. No.
Manuel, then the next question I want to ask you: how can people find you on the internet? Do you have a website? What's the name?
Yes, of course. I have a website for many years, and this is just like my name, Manuel Goettsching. Manuel Goettsching, you write with OE because the Ö is not existing in English, so write GOETTSCHING without anything, just in one word, .com. Yeah, that's the name.
Okay.
manuelgoettsching.com.
I will put the link to your website into the description box of this YouTube video, so then people can visit your website and check it out and find everything about you. And what's the best way to get in touch with you, if you allow people to get in touch with you? There.
Of course I do, yeah, that's just over the website.
Over the website, email
addresses, emails, and yes.
Okay, Manuel, so we have reached the end of this interview. Once again, I would like to thank you. You know, I have seen you live once in November 1981, together with Klaus Schulze in der Paulskirche in Frankfurt. Yeah.
81, yes.
81, yes. Really.
Yeah,
and then I remembered you, and that's also the reason what led me to buy Inventions for electric guitar a year later, in 1982. Mm-hmm. And I still, actually, this is a personal message. Your music, Inventions for electric guitar, gave me so much relief when I went through difficult times. Just listening to your music really gave me relief, and it's awesome, really. And I'm very glad that you shared today some of your insights and how you created the music. So, Manuel, thanks again, yeah?
Thank you.
All right, this is the end of today's interview. Thank you very much for taking the time and watching it. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you may want to give us a thumbs up. Moreover, you may even consider sharing it across the internet with your friends. Please make sure you check out Manuel Goettsching's website. I put the link into the description box of this YouTube video, manuelgoettsching.com. Moreover, I also ask you to check out some of my previous videos. I put the link over there. I'm doing synthesizer tutorials together with friends. I'm doing interviews with electronic musicians, and every now and then I'm also uploading some of my own music. So, if you enjoy my videos, you may consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. I put the link below here. So, for today I say goodbye. Have a good week. I see you next time. Until then, peace.